Well, recently Josh and I watched a documentary of BBC Horizon, which is called "God on the Brain," which raised a lot of interesting questions about the sort of neurological origins of religion and where ideas of God might come from.
In a new branch of science named neurotheology. Although I believe neurotheism has more of a ring to it. But neurotheology, go stick to that.
So it's essentially saying that, well, it started off with these people that have temporal lobe epilepsy, which in some people causes these sort of intense religious delusions and hallucinations.
Yeah, I mean, the terminology is interesting there because it's not a religious experience. It's a kind of a complete lapse of reality and bright lights or kind of a feeling of someone else being there.
Yeah.
And what we were discussing earlier was the idea of any explanatory body, such as the church, in a time 2,000 years ago or whatever, they'd have having a huge responsibility to explain things, such as where's the weather come from? It's God acting His will, or what are diseases that's possessed by demons? What are these mad fits where people see lights and all that kind of crazy stuff? Then that's being divinely inspired. And there are people who've spent a long time trying to justify these crazy things in the world that they can't understand, and the responsibility always falls on the church, or at least it always used to.
Yeah, and I think going back to the very sort of origins of religion, a big contributing factor, I think, would be our intelligence kind of enabled us to realise that our fate was this. We would die eventually, and as a species, it was quite difficult to accept that fact. And I think a lot of the notion that our ancestors live on. So I think religion probably initially began as some sort of worship of ancestors, where you'd worship the people that had died in your tribe, and kind of try and contact them.
Yeah, and when someone lies motionless on the ground and fails to speak when roused, then the presumption is they've gone somewhere, and you don't know where they are. They're not here. Their minds have gone. So wonder where they are.
Yeah.
The idea of someone dying is that may not have been kind of believable or even kind of thought of for a long time.
Yeah, but also the emotional attachment you have to people, where you don't really want that person to cease to exist. So you develop this kind of mythology about them going to some place, paradise of some description, and they're developing some rituals in which you'd be able to contact them.
Yeah, and any wise man in the tribe who made such claims would quickly be revered and respected in any tribe.
Well, yeah, and it comes back to that, any explanation is better than no explanation. It's like, where do we go when we die? Before we had any, knowledge that this might be the only chance we have at life. Someone might just say, well, our soul, which is separate from our body, goes off to another plane, which we can access by doing this ritual, or the shamans can access. But also, Daniel Dennett talks about the sort of survival factor of sort of tribal religions in their healing ceremonies, which he claims might have had a placebo effect, which kind of improved the health of the tribe's people, and that's what these sort of ideas became dominant, because the people that practiced sort of ancient healing techniques were via a process of sort of placebo, mentally more fit, and
coupled with superstition, as in you do something and the result is that someone is healed, and make the presumption that what you have done has healed them.
Yeah.
When it would have been any other reason, like placebo or just naturally healing.
Yeah, and now it's a long time before anyone had done double-blind tests with placebos to see that a pill with nothing in it can give you an effect which is purely psychological, or it's not caused by the pill. So they didn't have a concept of what a placebo was. So the explanation would be that this weird ritual is actually healing us, It's got nothing to do with our psychology.
Yeah, if you like, you've just been stabbed in the leg, or leg broken by a rock or something, and you were carried to the tribe to the moment when you were kind of there, and the wise men were chanting over you. That would be a complete moment of relaxation, relief, which would completely de-stress the mind, become completely relaxed, and the healing process would begin.
And that, going back to those sort of the temporal lobes, and the because there's an interesting thing in that documentary where there's a woman who was experiencing horrific hallucinations of sort of demons and things, and she couldn't sleep because of it. And I can't remember the name of the neurologist, but they discovered that the clock beside her bed was emitting a sort of electromagnetic pulse, which was stimulating the temporal lobes into having these experiences of other entities in the room, and which they simulated in a lab with a sort of helmet that they put on with these things attached to it to stimulate the temporal lobes. And in a lot of people, they had these sense presences and things. So I think the concept of there being a kind of God centre in the brain, which makes us psychologically inclined to believe in the supernatural, is quite an interesting notion. I think a lot of people dismiss it as kind of being too materialistic about a spiritual thing or something, but I think it's actually basically explains religion.
Yeah. Yes, you could we'll post a link to it at the bottom. I'd recommend you check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.